Michael, here's where we get to do our victory lap. You know, in the betting space, you got to do your victory laps when you get the bets right.
Yeah.
You were on this from immediately from day one, March 13th, the tweet that you sent out from our GM Shuffle podcast. This is the quote. I'm not sure why C.J. Stroud is now the betting favorite to go number 1 in the draft. I still think the Panthers draft Bryce Young at the top spot, but no way Carolina made this move without a guy in mind. Panthers, a month later, 6 weeks later, go ahead and make Bryce Young the first overall pick. Frank Reich said that he was with him all along.
Yeah, I mean, I think to me, you got to go back to the tape. I think all this draft nonsense and this mock and all that, it really comes back to professionally evaluating the tape. It's the same thing with Will Levis. Am I surprised Will Levis is in a first rounder? No, because I said I would have given him a 59 grade, which for me, that wouldn't put him in the first round. So I'm not surprised by it. Does it make me right and someone else wrong? No. I mean, only time will tell who's right. That's what the draft's all about. So my sense of it is you got to grade what you see. There was no, to me, as I've maintained all along, this has been a one quarterback draft. Now, they may be able to get C.J. Stroud to play at a higher level, above and beyond. They can do things to him, maybe with Hurts. Same thing with Richardson. But to me, the one plug-and-play player that I saw on tape was Bryce Young. Now, he's 5'10". You worry about that. No, C.J. Stroud's got a lot to learn. A lot to learn. It's going to take some time. The Saturday game to the Sunday game is a huge transition. We know this. So it's going to take him some time, especially when he spent most of his time looking at Ryan Day to get the play.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to call plays, check plays, do all that. And then, Richardson's going to maybe start from zero.
It's a big hill to climb, but it's been climbed before, and we'll see if these guys can go ahead and do it. On the Bryce Young front, when you tweeted that out there and we had that conversation on the podcast 6 weeks ago, he was around plus 275, plus 250, and he sat there for quite a while until maybe 3.5 weeks later when Chris Mortensen was on ESPN.
Well, it was actually
and the
Mortensen.
Schefters. Yeah.
It didn't change until Mortensen reported that everybody knows they're taking Bryce Young. And Chris knew, and I knew, and Schefter knew, and it was funny, the fact that they made everybody wait. They didn't tell the kid. They didn't tell the kid until they turned the card in.
It's crazy. It's like,
think about that.
You made your mind up. Like, what's going on?
They didn't tell the kid until they turned the card. I mean, so Tepper wanted to keep it, and then Tepper came out, and he made comments about this gives us the best chance to compete for Super Bowl. I don't disagree. I think they have a good team. They added a blue-chip player quarterback, assuming he could play at the same level he did at Georgia, when he played against Georgia or Texas. But I think one thing they received by drafting Bryce Young, which is different than all the other quarterbacks, is they got an alpha male and they got a leader. And they got a guy who's got talent but thinks of himself as an overachiever. And that's going to drive the team. They've never had that since Cam left the building. See, we all talk about the quarterbacks being, they come in, they're talented, they make throws. But when you get a quarterback who the players gravitate to, who the players love, who the players believe in, that separates the team. Then all of a sudden, Mahomes and Brady, that's what creates that. Burrow, that alpha male quality. Jimmy Garoppolo actually has it.
He has it, yeah.
He has it in here in Las Vegas. He has that. He may not be as talented as these other players, but players gravitate to him. They believe in him. And when Brock Purdy, they believed in him. He made them believe in him. Some of these other guys, they don't. They don't have that trait. And that trait is one thing we don't talk enough about when discussing quarterbacks.
It's a term that Trent Dilfer, when he used to be an analyst over at ESPN, now a head coach over at, I believe, UAB now, he calls it thermostat leader. When that person enters the room, the temperature changes.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to say it. I think it does. I mean, he's driving the team. He's the alpha male. He's the one making sure the players, and he can call players out. That's what made, when the Raiders were successful in the early 2001, 2, when we went to Super Bowl, Rich Gannon was the reason. Nobody else. He changed the temperature in the building. He did. He made everybody else accountable. He drove everybody, and especially on offense. And they worked hard, and it was because of him. He was the leader. When your best player is the hardest worker, you got a really good situation. This is what worries me about Richardson. He's not the hardest worker. He's the most talented, but he doesn't work. He's relied on his talent so much, he said not how to work hard. He sees himself as a talented player. Jalen Carter sees himself as a talented player. I don't have to work that hard. I'm talented. That's when you get into trouble. That's when you get in trouble. You got to be able to be talented, but a hard worker. Talented overachiever. Talented overachievers are what you're looking for.
That's how you maximize your potential here. And one of the reasons why Bryce Young was not a prohibitive favorite from Jump Street was because of the size, 5'10", 190 pounds or so. I know he weighed in at 200 pounds, but let's be real, he's probably less than that. But here's what Frank Reich had to say about any sort of concerns, because he traditionally had coached big quarterbacks, now coaching a size outlier in Bryce Young.
You know, and basically Scott proposes a question at the end of that meeting, like, hey, if we trade up, you know, where's our conviction? And it was unanimous with every guy in that room, starting from Scott on down, that Bryce was a guy. That was great for me to hear. But what I appreciate about the way Scott handled it, it was like, hey, and he's like, Frank, you take your time. You know, I mean, you hear how we feel, but, you know, just you and the coaches get after it. And, you know, and it wasn't much convincing. You just watch the tape. There's a lot said about the size. At the end of the day, there's a lot of factors that go into it, but we're coaches, we're scouts. We watch the tape. And when you watch the tape, Bryce Young's the best player.
Bingo. I mean, it's true. It's not that hard. It really.
That's what you said on March 13th.
Great players are not hard to scout. They jump off the tape. They make everybody. That's why when I kid you about your bag of excuses for all these other players, I don't buy it, because great players make other players great. We always use that. Joel Embiid doesn't have enough supporting cast, okay? All right, did Michael Jordan always have that? I don't know. I mean, great players make other players look better than they really are. Bryce Young, this year, more than any year, had a very bad supporting cast.
Yeah, cupboards were bare in Bama, which is crazy to say, but
they were bare in relative terms.
Yeah,
you know, in relative
to their standards.
To their standards. Yeah. But he, you know, and he made the Texas game. He wins that by himself. I mean, he makes throws, so they got the best player. They clearly did. And as I said from day one, if he's 6'2", the Bears can't trade the pick. I believe that totally in my heart. There's no way you could watch the tape on Bryce Young and say, let's keep going down this road with Justin Fields. The reason you're going to keep going down the road with Justin Fields is because the uncertainty of the 5'10". But if you compare apple to apple, one quarterback to the other, it's not close. I'm just telling you, it's not close. And I think Frank Wright echoes that statement.
So with that said, and we flashed the odds on the screen a couple times for the viewing audience, but let's give this to the listening audience. Odds to win the NFC South. New Orleans is the favorite, plus 120. They have quarterback now by Derek Carr. The Panthers, 3-1. Falcons, plus 325. Tampa, plus 500. It sounds like Carolina could be live. If Bryce Young lives up to what we all expect, why can't the Panthers win the division with a rookie quarterback?
I think they can. I think they more than can. I think there's no denying they can. I think, to me, they have a really good team. They almost won it last year with no quarterbacking play.
Sam Darnold, yeah.
And Sam actually played half decent down the stretch.
He did.
You know, and I think, to me, this, again, I'm going to keep saying this. This is the first time in Carolina since Cam left the building that they've had a leader in their building. You cannot minimize the importance of your quarterback leading the team. You can't. One of the criticisms of Carr is he's not that guy. Mm-hmm. Players don't gravitate to him. Is he talented? No question. Can he make all the throws? No doubt. But there's that eccentric ingredient that you have to be a great player, to make your team better. Mahomes has it. Yes, he's talented, but he has that ability. You know, we're not sure Herbert has that. I mean, we're not sure he does.
Quiet guy.
I don't know. You know, he's kind of like a little bit, he's not that driver, you know, whereas Burrow, he's got it. He's got it, you know.
He walks in the room with a swagger.
He's got some swagger to him. But, you know, so to me, I like the Panthers here because I think that swagger is going to put them over the top.
Yeah, I like the Panthers. I was looking at some of the odds. DraftKings had the odds for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Right now, the favorite is Bijan Robinson. Bryce Young is just below him, around that plus 400 range or so. Could be an interesting way to play on the Panthers as well if Bryce Young lives up to the expectation.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.